Good morning. This is Pan Eagle. Panu, hey, Pan Eagle song. Peter Adams, New Star Adamus. The Solaris Galactician, presenting the solar stars, Solaris geometry of the universe. Today we're sharing the Unuversal Map and the solar universal maps of Solaris. This is the map of the universes in creation, the stars, galaxies, suns, positions, and geometric harmonics of interactive, integrated connections. There are 7 universal life levels in the real universes, and our three-dimensional viewpoint being shared of our positions in relation to, that's the galactic center, GTC, and AND of Andromeda, our closest galaxy, with the river of stars we know as the Milky Way, through the center, or actually this is a whole field that we see in the night sky and in our real vision. I'm also describing the river Eridanus constellation that runs as an image of the Lanikai, which is the river of stars and galaxies that are in our view, here pictured on the right, passing the river through from north into the south, which is the whale, Cetus, and in the center of this we have a 6-pointed star that has 6 star points and 3 opposite lines polarized. Also, there's an image of a triangle in dotted lines, or an A symbol. That is the dividing line between the higher levels and the lower levels of creation, or the dividing plane between the real universes and the lower universes, we'll call them, or between the real side and this side, which is our orientation point. And we could say the North Star at the top, which is somewhere near Polaris now, and Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, is the other polar position that we are viewing from. Polaris is generally spoken of as the navigator, navigating the fields of the universe, but also in the physical position, we use it to navigate our ships and other traveling bodies to position themselves around the Earth, mostly used by ship sailors in ancient times, but it also relates to the sextant, of which this could be called a universal sextant. Interestingly, it shouldn't be taken literally or specifically. It is only references of points and places and existences. The main body of our existence is the star that goes around the galactic center in 26,000 years, and that position of our view is pinpointed in the middle of this image, right there. The fixed-pointed star is there. The A frame view house is there in the middle. The river running this way, north to south, let's say, from the polar north to south, is on the right, and the Milky Way crosses across that like this, because essentially the Milky Way is our image of the galactic center and the stars in our own galaxy. The Laniakea, Milky Way running this way, the Laniakea running this way is the field of galaxies and stars in the universe of our local galactic or local galaxies. That is, of course, is exponential power of at least one more zero beyond our galaxy, which is our galaxy is 1 0 more than our sun's position in the universe. So we have a dimensional spiral, if you will, or circles, one within another. The sun is at 1x, the galaxy at 60x, the Laniakea at 60 times 60, and the last one is what I call the great attractor. It's what the physicists have been calling, and the science astronomers, the center point of all galaxies in all the universes. Its exponential point is another zero beyond the Laniakea cluster of galaxies here locally. Our galaxy, again, one more zero down, and then our sun is at the beginning point of our solar positioning. It's probably a zero less exponent than our physical Earth body is, and we, in our human bodies, we could be another 0 point down exponent, and that gives us 6 levels, or 6 life levels in the universal creation, or 3, the sun, the galaxy, and the universal, the great attractor, as points of where the gravity well centers are, centers of all the universal fields. Each one is its own, and each one is of itself, and yet could be said to include the others, or that the others are a part of, or that we are a part of it. This includes humanity, individuals, everything is of this isness, all isness, that's being described here universal map-wise. So, I'm gone way beyond the box of the physics, the astronomy, stargazers, astrologers, human metaphysicians, physical sciences, and perhaps more than that, we're actually pointing at that which is beyond any of this. This is solar geometry, and the solar stars that I've listed are 7. The solar stars, 7 going across from Cygnus to Capella to Arcturus, and also Vega, Aldebaran, Regulus, Antares, and I didn't write it here. I'm going to include Deneb as the brightest stars, or stars of power, if I have to use those words, positions that are related to our Earth and our continents and our dimensions, as a creation in the Unuversal Hologram, which is a 6-dimensional simulator that we see in 2 dimensions here, and we experience in 3 dimensions. Most people experience the simulator without knowing it, and it has an entirety which we are not understanding. It also has a referencing view scope that we don't use. Something like the song Imagine, to tell you the truth, where we say, imagine there's no country, no heaven, no hell below us. It's easy to do. In other words, none of this is an actuality, because no map represents true reality life is, and no time frame is included. Yet, while we're looking in the viewpoints of time and space, energy, matter, and senses of 6 dimensions, that's beyond our 5-dimensional perspective, 5-sense viewpoint as a human, which is our gathering point, or our solar scope, that we're opening up to be able to see the real universes. We actually are in a 7-dimensional space, we'll say, or context, physic, and dimension, construct, or complex, and so on and so forth. You can always come up with 3 words to describe the 7 life levels, and that gives us a way of perhaps going beyond perception into our real awareness, which is beyond this kind of mapping system. The way for that is through the new you, and following your visions, opening your real awareness, using true recognition, and having real intent or intention to be aware, recognize and or see, know, and be as you really are, a solar being. Yes, we have positions all through the solar universes, and they have references, but there's no point at the moment in guiding on that. There is a solar universal zodiac, and each of these positions has a relation. What I've shared is this as an exegesis in the music field through songs and the CDs or seeds of awareness. There's 9 song CDs of the exegesis, which means to exit the old ages and the old ideas, all of the sciences, religions, teachings, moralities, laws, principles, concepts of nation, race, sex, and even music, the sound and light orientations, and our solar imagination or realizations and recognitions. There's a little bit of a history on my own musical progeny, if you will, and a map, star map image expressing the 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The all is. As a universal map, perhaps, of the all is. And however I'm receiving this or sharing it, part of it is because of the historical challenges that we have that have happened through the alienation of mankind and the reptilianism and the conflict between them, actually, are the construct of human DNA and consciousness, the body, which, and our historical lineage, which was partially, we'll say, fabricated or manufactured humanity, or a hybrid alien, reptilian, human, sometime, say, maybe 60,000 years ago, maybe more like 6 million originally, including the historical lines of experience in different civilizations and world bodies, such as in Atlantis, originally perhaps earlier Lemuria, the land of Mu, then descended to Babylon, Indian, Asian Indian, like described in the Rig Veda, and that also in Persia and the Sumerian, the Mayan, that being more in South America, developed. The Chinese, of course, in their own Asian histories, or / Japanese, Indonesian. And then we come to realize that perhaps there's a map of the continents and the civilizations that have an interrelation or were orientated in different times, perhaps more modernistically Atlantis and European, Afro-Persian civilizations that followed the Polynesian, Lemurian, Pacific, and Aboriginals. Each of these could be called now original peoples or original peoples, such as also the native Indians of America, and or where they came from, which more than likely was across the Alaskan land bridge from Siberia. There's also been organization of culture in Tataria, in Europe, or towards the east of Siberia, and of course there is Himalayan related included. And so we now have also the Afriginals as another 7-letter terms for the different continents. Euriginals, Aboriginals, Asiginals, Australiginals, Polygonals, or Polygonals, and that's 6. And perhaps that's all there were. Maybe there's 7. Root races, in a way, is the description from Alice Bailey and others of this kind. Okay, that's the historical lineup. Wanted to point out that the great attractor, center of all galactic universes, the Messiah, the center of our local universe galaxies, or the Messier complex, and the galactic center, the GTC, which is our solar universal position in our own Milky Way galaxy. And these are gravity well centers, or perhaps orientated so-called Big Bang orientated beginners, originators. I'm not saying that that's true or that that is the reality. I'm saying that this is a position of reference so that we can also describe our own existences and perhaps understand most of us have had lifetimes on many worlds, many continents, and many star systems, more than likely. Some, yes, are more or less originated here on the outer edge of the Milky Way and our local galaxy. There's 5 to 7 spiral arms, which this river describes to some extent. Maybe 3 main spirals, or 5, I think more likely, as you can see in the picture of the galaxy with the spiral arms. Okay. Now this has never been explained or described in this way ever that I know of, and certainly I have not done this way in a video. I want to point out one more thing, which is the opposition points between these stars. There are 3. Here's 1, Sirius and Canopus, which are actually conjunct, but they form an opposition north to south, passing over us daily as the world turns. We also have the opposition conjunction of Polaris and Betelgeuse. Polaris is the North Star, and this map more or less is a north-south, east-west concept, like our global pictures in our maps. Betelgeuse is to the south from Polaris, but those 2 stars are conjunct in Gemini at 28-29 degrees, and always will be for a very long period of time, millenniums, as all the stars are very fixed in their positions generally and only move a little bit, difference of 72 years, 1 degree per. All of these positions, including the galactic center, from our position here, we shift the 72 degrees. That is 72 years per 1 degree across the universe around our galactic center. The third interesting opposition is Algol opposite Bungala, has another names for it, as all the stars do. Algol is called the demon star. Not a very pleasant one. It's at 26 to 27 Scorpio. The Centaurus constellation is opposite that, Alpha Centauri, where Bungala is. These are very bright stars. Algol is a red giant. Betelgeuse is a yellow giant, I believe, or orange giant at 29 Gemini. And to some extent, I can relate these to individuals and the positions of their degrees. Algol is not far from the son of Joe Biden. Betelgeuse in Gemini and Polaris is lined up with Trump. And Sirius is lined up almost exactly with the United States Sun in 1776 and has progressed about 2 degrees, which is related to about 20 decades or 240 years or so, which is our age in the United States now. Obviously, the United States, being connected with Sirius and Canopus, is in a very important position in the world concepts and context, and being controlled and manipulated by the Orion Syndicate, or the Dark Lord controllers, reptilian and alien nations, somehow created long time ago. This is a destiny of arrival. And also, though, the United States has the moon in Aquarius, which has something to do with universalism, nationalism, and galactic unity with the constellations of Pegasus and Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Andromeda, all unified at some level here. Ursa Major, the Golden Bear, the Great Bear, is opposite Andromeda, Leo to Aquarius generally, or Virgo to Pisces by signs. This makes it a very dynamic star position for the United States and the world. In about 14 years, Uranus is going to be conjunct Sirius and Canopus in Cancer. Actually, more like 10 years. This has a lot to do with a number of things, including the 2030 agenda of the money monopolization, control, projection in place, or agenda. 2030 agenda has been spoken of as the Great Reset. There's also the dates of around 2037, and I want to include here the Polaris Betelgeuse position at 28-29 Gemini. In about 100 years, it's going to go into Capricorn. And these two positions, Polaris and Betelgeuse, are opposite the galactic center. Yeah, it appears one's to the north and one's to the south, and this is the galactic center in the middle. Yet, really, this is just a map, but the opposition is our Earth and our solar system in between Betelgeuse and the galactic center. We are and have been experiencing this opposition, which is something to do with the human bipolar brain, the polarity concept, our one-dimensional view of the 3 dimensions, actually, or maybe it would be more right to say 4th dimensional view of the 3 dimensions that we are in, which have a triangle shape of a polarity. Thus, I use the A, and partially, which is very hard to relate, is that our galaxy is moving towards Andromeda and becoming unified with Andromeda in billions of years from now. They will unite, they will crash, if you will, because if stars come into contact with each other, they crash and burn or destruct. Now this is something that stars do also on their own, and many of them will have already burned up by the time, or a number of them will have burned up before Andromeda and the galactic center join. Andromeda represents our partner galaxy. And yes, we as humans are also working to unify ourselves as a being, a solar being in the universes, as a physical, mental, emotional, solar, etheric matrix body that we have ourselves, but also the universe is reflecting that. And this unity that we're describing, which there are beings from Andromeda sharing this with me, I believe, very much so, this map here today, describing the art of unification and personal liberty, freedom, and recognition, which we will allow ourselves to be. That is, not gods per se in that old term of some kind of ruling, lording, or beneficial being, taking care of others of our like, that we decide we're authoritarian dominators. No, not at all. Quite the opposite. It's really inverted from the true reality, which is a becoming or a being-isness that we allow ourselves, each and all one of us, to do, be, and know. Those are the words I have for it. This map shows the Ursa Major, the Golden Bear in the north, and it has actually these four oppositions then: a galactic opposition, a star opposition, opposition between a galaxy and the stars, two stars, and another purely just stars only. So there are three oppositions that are related to stars here that we are working at, trying to define and understand and recognize in our own beings, these polarities, these oppositions and competitions, conflicts, but also unifications, unities, sharings, universalisms. How and what are we that creates or is creating? Not to be God-like, but to be of ourselves and of all is. Purely, truly, and really. This, I think, is the mission of the Messiah that would relate to the Christ, the Allah, and the new Buddha. That is the unification of the galaxies, which happens at the Messiah level, between the local galaxy and the great field center of the great attractor. This gives us these three, perhaps the only universal God map, and I'll call that GODZ. It's like island. Island is a way of saying an isness, as islands express themselves as being self-regulated and self-existing, self-recognized, yet they are part of a sea of islands and a sea of ocean. That it would be like our sun in the solar universal and the great field of dark matter, dark energy, and light, stars, suns, and bodies, planets. that describes it three-dimensionally, four-dimensionally, six-dimensionally, universally, solarly, and we'll say individually. The IS is, there's the S, there's the I, like that. And however I was able to draw this map just is a miracle in my sense. Now I was able to produce and share it not only in music, in solaristic terms, solarisms and astrologies, so to speak, or metaphysicals, and physics. I've been using these formulas, let's say, but I'm just here with the best of knowledge. I know this is new to some and remarkable to others, but to most indecipherable, really, and meaningless, or our orientation wouldn't have usefulness without a whole picture of who we are. This we can share with the new UU and the great universalism of the wonderful worldwide educators, WWE. Thankfully, I end appreciating your listening, and please discover me, galacticianblogspot.com. Hey Pan Eagle Song on YouTube.